Good evening, everyone. This is Jamie Starr with the New World News Network. This video, I want to cover an article that was just another one popped up on my browser. Obama bans U.S. imports of slave-produced goods. Now, I knew when I saw this that Apple wasn't going to be on the list because that's far too trendy and liberal for anyone to not be buying and supporting. And I think it's great that Donald Trump called for a ban of Apple or a boycott of Apple, although it's for the wrong reasons. There are some things that I personally boycott. I boycott Quentin Tarantino films because I just don't think it's anything good for my soul or my psyche to be taking in massive amounts of ultra-violence and profanity and just degenerative behaviors and glorifying violence and everything. So that's one of the things on my list. The other thing is Apple. As a musician, you know, it's standard that musicians use Apple, and I had a MacBook. I do have an iPad. I don't use it often anymore, but once I became aware of these situations in Apple, which you can see here, you know, Apple does these lockouts or whatever they're called before the new products launch, and people are forced to work without days off, without time off. It was so bad that the workers in China were jumping off the roofs, and you ended up having the company decide the best way to stop this is not to improve working conditions, but to put nets around the factory. Russell Brand, if you watch Messiah Complex, has a very funny joke about all of this, where he says, you know, what sort of prick would do that, where it's, you know, you jump off the roof, you're so down and out and sick of this shit, you want to kill yourselves, and they just catch you in the net and say, oh, well, that's going to count as your break, back to work. And so, you know, besides that, toxic exposure, explosions, so on and so forth. It's just deplorable. I mean, Apple should be called out and boycotted over this, because if people stopped buying their overpriced stuff, and that's the other thing, I wouldn't buy Apple products in this day and age because I can get a PC with all the same stuff for $400. You could buy a $2,000 MacBook or a $400 PC, and it'll have the exact same parts in it. You can run 80% of the exact same programs on them. I mean, it depends what you're going to do, but I love my PC. It's very good for making music and doing what I need to do with it, and that's the other thing. Identify what you're trying to achieve and accomplish, and make your decision from there. But Apple survives solely on branding. It's why when they joined together with Beats by Dre, you had articles saying they're a match made in heaven, because both of them offer decent products, not even good products, but decent products at exuberant prices. So, he's not banning Apple, he's banning fish caught by slaves in South Asia, gold mined by children in Africa, and garments sewn by abused women in Bangladesh. Which I guarantee you doesn't account the, like, sneakers made in sweatshops and all that. But, so he passes this bill, no slave labor, no products coming into the U.S., whatever. It's funny, though, because Obama passed a bill, EO 13603, which in times of crisis and emergency could introduce slavery into the United States. Here's a quote from the bill. Section 502, Consultants. The head of each agency otherwise delegated functions under this order is delegated the authority of the President under Sections 701B and C of the Act 50 U.S.C. App 2160 to employ persons of outstanding experience and ability without compensation, or the employ experts, consultants, or organizers. The authority delegated by this section may not be redelegated. This means that Obama and his fellow communists can seize any resource, property, or person at any time for any reason, including the ability to force that person to perform assigned labor without being paid. And this is the thing where, you know, I'm sure Obama's not going to just wake up one day and say, all right, today we're kick-starting slavery off again. That's not how it's going to happen. And I'm going to do another video on this. I'll search the article just so... Hillary camps. It's going to happen under the an economic collapse. And you already see this sort of going on. Like I tell people with Bernie Sanders fans and everything, get ready for labor camps, and people pushing for socialism need to realize camps always come with it. Hillary Clinton says the nation's political class could use camps for adults to foster cooperation because too many leaders get backed into partisan corners and refuse to work together. See, if you're refusing to work, we need to bring you to the FEMA camp and point a gun at your head and tell you you need to work or you're going to starve to death and we're going to kick you out into the wilderness. So, and she went on with all these euphemisms, just being like, oh, it could be fun camps, and we could make it solving the national deficit into fun. And, a lot of the conspiracies about Nazi Germany, one of the misconceptions is not all of the camps were straight up death camps. There were some of the camps where even when the Nazis were at war with the British sent soccer teams to play against the people in the internment camps. You had plays going on there, movies being shown, concerts going on. So there were fun camps in Nazi Germany, but they were also forced labor camps. And this is how they're selling all of this stuff to you. So, like most things in politics, Obama might not be the one to enact this slavery. It might be whoever the next president is. But when the dollar collapses and there's no form of currency, if there's nothing preparing this for a smooth transition, because it's inevitable, let's see, power of dollar. There's tons of graphs on this. There's a really good one. I guess Power of the Dollar is a 50 Cent album. Yeah, look at this. This is where the dollar's going. In 2013, a dollar was worth 5 cents. And this is why you hear people say, oh, back in my day, a pack of gum only cost a nickel. And it's not that making the pack of gum is more expensive, not in the least. Making the pack of gum should be cheaper, easier, and more efficient than it was. The problem is that your dollar is worth shit. You need more of the worthless money to buy something that's cheap. It's not that prices are going up, it's the value of the dollar going down. So when this hits to zero, which it inevitably will, you're going to then have people forced into camps and having to work for free or just having to work for a ration of food. Maybe they'll work for privileges. Like, if you work for an hour, you can update your Facebook. Things like that. Work for an hour, you get 10 minutes of internet time. Things like that. There's a really good show people should check out. I believe it's Black Mirror. It was a British show, but they have an episode where it's essentially that. People are all riding on bikes. They're all in this little, prison type camp thing. They all go back to their cells, and they don't even get real things. They get, a new shirt for their avatar, but they have to wear these all gray uniforms. And if you watch that show, I swear to God, I hope everyone watch it tonight. After seeing this, do yourself a favor and watch that show, because it will show you the direction we're going. Because I can tell you, even from when I watched it a few months ago, some of the things have already come true. It shows you the direction society as a whole is going. So, Obama doesn't want slave labor goods coming into America, but has no problem with Americans being slaves.